The small research vessel Horizon floated silently in the shadow of a massive gas giant. The ship's engines were powered down to minimal levels, allowing it to drift almost undetectably in the vastness of space. Through the main viewport, the planet's swirling storms of purple and blue gases created a beautiful but alien view. Dr. Samantha Wells stared at the readings on her tablet. For 3 weeks, the Horizon had been monitoring strange energy pulses coming from the planet's largest moon. She brushed a strand of blonde hair from her face and frowned. "Still nothing conclusive?" asked Ryan Cooper, the ship's pilot, as he floated into the research bay. "Just more questions," Samantha replied. "These energy signatures don't match anything in our databases. They're almost like communications, but with patterns I've never seen before." The Horizon was home to 7 researchers, all specialists in their fields. They had been sent to the Andromeda Delta sector to investigate rumors of unusual phenomena, but no one had expected to find something so puzzling. A soft beep echoed through the ship's communication system. "Dr. Wells to the bridge," came the voice of Daniel Harrison, their communications officer. "I think you need to see this." Samantha pushed herself off from the research station and glided through the ship's corridor. In zero gravity, her movements were practiced and fluid after months in deep space. Daniel sat hunched over his console when she arrived at the bridge. His usually relaxed face was tight with concentration, and the blue light from the screens reflected in his eyes. "What is it, Daniel?" she asked, grabbing a handrail to stop herself. "I picked up something on our long-range scanners," he said without looking up. "At first I thought it was just background noise, but it's definitely a signal, and it's repeating." He tapped a few buttons and a series of pulses played through the bridge speakers. The sound was unlike anything Samantha had heard before, high-pitched tones that changed rhythm and frequency in complex patterns. "How long has it been broadcasting?" she asked. "That's the thing," Daniel replied, finally looking up. "Based on the signal degradation, I'd estimate it's been traveling for at least 2 years. Samantha felt a chill run down her spine. "Play it again." As the strange tones filled the bridge again, the rest of the crew drifted in, attracted by the unusual sounds. Dr. Eric Powell, their xenobiologist, listened with his eyes closed. "It's artificial," he said after the sequence ended. "Too ordered to be natural phenomena." "Can we locate the source?" Samantha asked. Daniel nodded. "Already triangulated. It's coming from a star system about 3 light-years from here, beyond the edge of mapped space." Samantha looked around at her crew. They hadn't been prepared for this kind of discovery. The Horizon was a research vessel, not an exploration ship. Protocol stated they should report back to Earth Command and wait for instructions. "We need to try to decode it," she decided. "Eric, work with Daniel on this. If it's a communication, we need to know what it's saying." For the next 2 weeks, the crew focused all their efforts on the mysterious signal. They recorded and analyzed every pulse and pattern. Eric built a computer program to search for mathematical relationships within the message, while Daniel compared it to every known communication method in human history. On the 17th day, they had their breakthrough. "It's a distress call," Daniel announced during their morning meeting. "We're sure of it now." He displayed a holographic representation of the signal, now broken down into distinct sections. "This part repeats more than anything else," he said, highlighting one sequence. "It's their identifier, who they are. They call themselves the Navari." "And you're certain it's a distress call?" asked Samantha. Eric nodded gravely. "The pattern matches distress signals across dozens of cultures. There's an urgency built into the mathematical structure itself. They're calling for help." "Can we understand what kind of help they need?" asked Maya Peterson, their engineer. Daniel hesitated. "We've only translated parts of it, but..." He paused, looking uncomfortable. "They're under attack. Their world is being invaded by something called the Krev Dominion." A heavy silence fell across the room. The message described systematic destruction of their cities. Eric continued quietly. "Mass killings. They're being wiped out." Samantha felt her stomach tighten. They had never encountered another intelligent species before, and now their first contact was with a civilization being exterminated. "We need to report this to Earth Command immediately," said Carlos Diaz, their security officer. "This is way beyond our mission parameters. It will take 3 weeks for our message to reach Earth and who knows how long for orders to come back," Samantha said. "Meanwhile, these people are dying." "We're a research vessel with minimal weapons," Carlos reminded her. "We can't exactly rush in to help." Samantha stared at the holographic representation of the distress call. "We need to know more. Can we get the exact coordinates of the Navari world?" Over the next few days, they refined their translations and pinpointed the location of the signal's origin. They learned more about the Navari, a peaceful, technologically advanced species that had never encountered the Krev Dominion before they arrived in massive warships. The more they discovered, the more troubled Samantha became. Protocol was clear. They should maintain their position and wait for instructions. But her conscience wouldn't allow her to sit idle while an entire civilization was being destroyed. One night, unable to sleep, she made her decision. She recorded a message to Earth Command, attaching all their data on the Navari distress call in the Krev Dominion. "This is Dr. Samantha Wells of the research vessel Horizon," she began. "We've intercepted a distress call from an unknown species, calling themselves the Navari. They are under attack by a hostile force known as the Krev Dominion. The message describes genocide-level events. I am forwarding all information we have gathered. The situation appears to be urgent, requesting immediate guidance." She hesitated before adding her final words. "These people need help. I believe we have a moral obligation to respond, even knowing we lack the capacity to intervene directly. The coordinates of the Navari homeworld are attached. May whatever forces we send arrive in time." Samantha sent the transmission, knowing it would take weeks to reach Earth. She had no way of knowing that her message would awaken humanity's most terrifying war fleet, dormant for decades, or that her decision would forever change the course of human history. As the message sped toward Earth, the crew of the Horizon continued their work, unaware that they had just triggered events that would reveal humanity's darkest secrets and most powerful weapons. In the silence of deep space, the Navari distress call continued to play through their systems, a desperate plea from one civilization to another, crossing the vast emptiness between stars, carrying hope that someone somewhere would answer. Fleet Admiral Gregory Phillips sat in his office at Earth Command headquarters. The large window behind his desk showed the busy spaceport of New Seattle, with ships coming and going against the backdrop of a clear blue sky. The morning briefing had been routine until the message from the Horizon arrived. The Admiral's face grew pale as he listened to Dr. Wells's report. The other officers in the room noticed his reaction and fell silent. "Play it again," he ordered, his voice steady despite the tension visible in his shoulders. The young communications officer replayed the message. This time, Admiral Phillips closed his eyes, listening carefully to every word about the Navari and their attackers, the Krev Dominion. When the message ended, he opened his eyes and looked at the officers gathered around the table. "Clear the room," he said quietly. "Everyone except General Rivera." The officers exchanged confused glances but followed orders without question. When the door closed behind them, only General Maria Rivera remained. "Is it them?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Admiral Phillips nodded. "The description matches. The name is different, but the attack pattern is the same. It has to be them." He turned to his computer and typed a long series of codes. The screen asked for voice confirmation. Admiral Gregory Phillips. Authorization. Black Dawn. The computer processed for a moment. Authorization confirmed. Contingency Black Dawn now active. General Rivera's eyes widened. "Are you sure? Once we activate this, there's no going back." "They're here, Maria. The nightmare our ancestors prepared for has finally arrived. If we don't respond now, the Navari will be just the first to fall." Deep in space, hidden in the Kuiper Belt beyond Pluto, massive metal structures began to awaken. Lights flickered on across the surface of what appeared to be an asteroid, but was actually a disguised military base. Inside, robotic systems started warming up engines on ships that had not moved in decades. Similar activations occurred across 12 star systems where humanity had hidden its greatest secret, a war fleet built for a single purpose. Captain Olivia Martinez was teaching a class at the Fleet Academy when her communication device buzzed. The message was simple. Contingency Black Dawn active. Report to Luna Base immediately. She froze, staring at the words on the screen. In 15 years of service, she had never expected to see this message. Her students noticed her reaction. Class dismissed, she said, gathering her things quickly. Continue your reading for next week. 6 hours later, Olivia stood in a large underground hangar on the far side of the moon. Around her were dozens of officers, all looking as confused as she felt. Some she recognized as veteran commanders who had been moved to teaching or administrative positions years ago. Admiral Phillips appeared on a large screen. His face was grim. I know you all have questions, he began. Many of you were told the ships you once served on were decommissioned or scrapped. That was not true. They were hidden as part of Contingency Black Dawn, a plan created by our ancestors, almost 200 years ago. A murmur ran through the crowd. Recently, we received a distress call from an alien civilization being attacked by a force called the Krev Dominion. Based on their description and our oldest records, we believe these are the same beings that visited Earth thousands of years ago, the same beings our ancestors warned us would return someday. The Admiral pressed a button and the wall behind the officers slid open. They turned to see a massive hangar containing a ship unlike any in the regular fleet. It was dark gray, almost black, with sharp angles and weapon systems covering its hull. The name Retribution was painted on its side. This is why we built weapons that would make our enemies fear us, Admiral Phillips continued. This is why humanity developed the most aggressive military technology in known space. Even as we pretended to be peaceful explorers, we were preparing for this day. Olivia felt a chill run down her spine as she looked at the ship. She had heard rumors about secret military projects, but nothing like this. Captain Martinez, the Admiral called. You are being given command of the Retribution. You have 12 hours to select your crew from the officers present and prepare for departure. Olivia stepped forward, her mind racing. Admiral, what exactly is our mission? Your official orders are to investigate the Navari situation and render assistance. Your actual mission is to engage and defeat the Krev Dominion forces. The 7th. Fleet will assemble at coordinates being sent to your devices now. 117 ships, Captain, the most powerful combat force humanity has ever fielded. While the officers received their assignments, intelligence analyst Frank Simmons sat in a sealed room deep beneath Earth Command. He had been working non-stop since the Horizon's message arrived, digging through ancient data caches and forbidden archives. The information on his screen was fascinating and terrifying. Archaeological records from 12,000 years ago showed evidence of an advanced civilization visiting Earth. Cave paintings and ancient tablets depicted tall, thin beings arriving in ships shaped like sea creatures. The records showed these visitors harvesting humans, followed by centuries of suffering. But the most important discovery was the warning. Buried under what was once northern Africa, explorers had found a metal container with symbols that took decades to decode. The message inside was clear. They will return. The cycle is 10,000 to 15,000 years. Prepare or perish. Humanity had taken the warning seriously. Even as nations fought amongst themselves, a secret agreement formed to build weapons and ships that could defend Earth when the day came. Over time, many forgot why they were building such a powerful military, but the project continued. Frank compiled his findings and sent them to Admiral Phillips with a simple note. The cycle is real. They're back early. On the Retribution, Olivia worked to organize her new crew. She had selected experienced officers who had served with her before, people she trusted. The ship's systems were advanced but familiar enough that they could learn. Quickly, Lieutenant Commander Joseph Coleman, her new second-in-command, approached with a troubled expression. Captain, I've been reviewing our mission data, he said quietly. There's a lot they're not telling us about these Krev. I found references to sealed files that might have more information. Olivia glanced around to make sure no one was listening. See what you can access. We need to know what we're really facing." As preparation continued, Admiral Phillips stood alone in his office, watching as status reports came in from across the solar system. Ships that officially didn't exist were powering up their engines. Crews were being assembled. Weapons designed to destroy entire fleets were being loaded. He thought about the message from the horizon, a small research vessel that had stumbled upon humanity's oldest nightmare. Soon, the Krev Dominion would learn what humanity had become during their absence, a species that had turned its talent for warfare into an art form, ready to unleash hell upon those who threatened their existence. The war fleet was awakening, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Seventh Fleet assembled at the edge of the solar system, hidden from civilian traffic and monitoring stations. One by one, massive warships emerged from secret bases and took their positions in the formation. Their dark hulls absorbed light, rather than reflected it, making them difficult to see against the blackness of space. On the bridge of the Retribution, Captain Olivia Martinez watched as the fleet grew. Each ship was a marvel of military engineering. Weapons systems layered upon weapons systems, engines capable of speeds that civilian ships could never achieve, and armor that could withstand attacks that would destroy regular vessels. "That's the last one, Captain," reported Susan Kelly, her navigation officer. "The Valkyrie has joined formation. All 117 ships are present and ready." Olivia nodded, trying to hide her amazement. She had never seen so much firepower gathered in one place. The ships in this fleet didn't just represent the cutting edge of human military technology. They were beyond anything publicly known to exist. "Open a channel to the fleet," she ordered. When the communication officer signaled that all ships were connected, Olivia stood straight and addressed the fleet commanders. "This is Captain Martinez of the Retribution. In 1 hour, we will make the jump to the coordinates provided. Our mission is to assess the situation of the Navari people and engage the Krev Dominion forces if necessary. All ships should be at combat readiness as soon as we exit the jump. We don't know what we'll find, but we must be prepared for immediate action." After closing the channel, Olivia turned to Lieutenant Commander Joseph Coleman, who had been busy researching the classified files about the Krev. "Any progress, Joseph?" He nodded and motioned for her to follow him to a private corner of the bridge. His expression was troubled. "I found something, Captain. It was buried deep in the ship's database. According to these records, the Krev didn't just visit Earth once in our prehistoric past. They've been returning periodically for thousands of years, harvesting populations and resources. Why haven't we heard about this before?" Olivia asked, keeping her voice low. "Because they haven't returned to Earth in over 12,000 years. Some theorize that early humans managed to drive them off, possibly with help from another alien species. Others think Earth just wasn't worth the effort after a certain point." Joseph pulled up an image on his tablet, an ancient cave painting showing tall, thin beings standing over smaller human figures. "The really interesting part is this," he continued. "Some scientists believe that the Krev may have unintentionally accelerated human development. Their attacks forced early humans to develop better weapons, form larger social groups, and advance more quickly than they might have otherwise. In a way, they created their own worst enemy." Olivia considered this information carefully. "Does Admiral Phillips know this?" "Not just Phillips," Joseph replied. "According to these files, every high-level military commander for the past 2 centuries has been briefed on the Krev threat. The Black Dawn Protocol wasn't created recently. It's been passed down through generations. That's why our military developed the way it did. That's why we built ships like the Retribution." Olivia looked out at the fleet gathered before them. Now she understood why humanity had always maintained such a powerful military force, even during periods of peace. They had been preparing for the return of the Krev all along. "Keep digging," she told Joseph. "I want to know everything about these creatures before we face them." As the hour approached for the jump, tension grew throughout the fleet. Many of the crew members were veterans who had served in smaller conflicts, but none had faced an alien species in full-scale combat. They checked and rechecked their systems, prepared their weapons, and tried to calm their nerves. In the engine room of the Retribution, Chief Engineer Pete Daniels supervised the final preparations for the jump. The ship's jump drive was unlike anything he had worked with before, capable of covering 30 light-years in a single leap. "All systems green, Chief," reported one of his engineers. "Jump drive at full capacity." Pete nodded and contacted the bridge. "Engine room to Captain, we're ready when you are." On the bridge, Olivia received confirmation from all departments that the ship was prepared. She opened a channel to the fleet once more. "All ships, prepare for jump on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Mark." Space seemed to bend around the fleet as 117 warships simultaneously activated their jump drives. In an instant, they vanished from the solar system, leaving no trace of their presence. The jump lasted only moments from the perspective of the crews, but when they emerged, they were 30 light-years from Earth, close to the edge of known space. "Jump complete," announced Susan. "All ships accounted for. We've arrived at the coordinates specified in the Nevery distress call." Olivia looked at the main view screen, which showed their current position relative to nearby star systems. "Time to arrival at the Nevari homeworld?" she asked. "At maximum speed, 12 hours, Susan replied. "Set course and signal the fleet to follow in formation." As the massive fleet moved toward the Nevari system, intelligence data began flowing in from advanced scout ships. The reports were grim. "Captain," said the communications officer, "I'm receiving updates from our scouts. The Nevari situation is worse than we thought. Based on their scans, over 80% of the population centers have been destroyed. The remaining Nevari are gathered in a few heavily defended locations, but they're losing ground quickly." Olivia felt a wave of anger and determination. What had started as a rescue mission was quickly becoming something else entirely. "How many Krev ships are in the system?" she asked. "Scouts count approximately 200 vessels of various sizes. Their largest ships appear to be about half the size of the Retribution." Olivia called a meeting of her senior officers to discuss the new information. In the ship's conference room, she displayed the scout data for everyone to see. "We're outnumbered," she stated plainly. "But based on the weapons analysis, we have superior firepower. The Krev ships appear to be designed more for planetary bombardment than ship-to-ship combat." "They probably weren't expecting resistance," Joseph commented. "They're used to attacking worlds that can't fight back." "Well, they're about to learn that humans fight back very effectively," Olivia replied. "Here's the plan. We'll split the fleet into 3 battle groups. 2 will engage the Krev ships directly, while the third establishes a defensive perimeter around the remaining Nevari strongholds." As the officers discussed tactical details, new intelligence arrived. Joseph reviewed it quickly, his expression growing even more concerned. "Captain, our scouts have found something else. The Krev ships aren't mechanical constructs like ours. They appear to be at least partially organic, like deep-sea predators adapted for space. And they're harvesting the Nevari, not just killing them. They're taking live captives to their larger vessels." The room fell silent as the officers processed this information. "Whatever their purpose," Olivia said finally, "it ends now. Prepare the fleet for combat. We arrive in the Nevari system in 11 hours. As the 7th Fleet approached, none of them realized they were about to engage in the largest space battle in human history, or that what they would discover about the Krev would change humanity's understanding of the galaxy forever. The human fleet emerged from light speed at the edge of the Nevari system. The ships spread out in perfect formation, their sensors scanning for enemy vessels. On the main view screen of the Retribution, Captain Olivia Martinez saw the Nevari homeworld for the first time. It was a beautiful planet with blue oceans and green continents, similar to Earth but with 2 small moons orbiting it. But the beauty was marred by visible scars on the surface. Entire cities reduced to ash, forests burning, and oceans darkened with debris. "My God," whispered Susan Kelly from her station. "They're destroying everything." Olivia's hands tightened, on the railing in front of her. "Tactical display," she ordered, her voice steady despite her anger. The screen changed to show the positions of all ships in the system. Red markers indicated the Krev vessels. Over 200 of them spread throughout the system, with the largest concentration around the Nevari homeworld. "The Krev haven't noticed us yet," said the tactical officer. "Their sensors are focused on the planet. Good, Olivia replied. What's the status of the Navari? Communications officer Lisa Rivera was working frantically at her station, trying to make contact with any surviving Navari. I'm picking up transmissions from the surface, Captain. They've got one major stronghold left on the northern continent. Their defensive shields are failing. I estimate they have hours at most before the Krev break through. Olivia made her decision. Signal Battle Group 1 and 2. We'll proceed as planned. Battle Group 3 will head directly to the Navari stronghold and establish a defensive perimeter. Throughout, the fleet crews rushed to battle stations. Weapon systems powered up and fighter craft prepared to launch. The element of surprise was their greatest advantage, and they intended to use it. As the human ships moved deeper into the system, a Krev patrol finally detected them. Two organic-looking ships broke from their orbit and moved to intercept. Krev vessels approaching, reported the tactical officer. They're scanning us. Let them come, Olivia said calmly. Hold fire until they're in optimal range. The Krev ships resembled giant manta rays with bony protrusions along their sides. They glowed with an eerie blue light as they approached, clearly curious about these unknown vessels that had entered their hunting grounds. They're hailing us, Lisa announced. Put it through, Olivia ordered. The view screen flickered and showed the interior of a Krev ship. The alien that appeared was tall and thin with pale gray skin and large black eyes. Its mouth was small and lipless, and it had no visible nose. When it spoke, the sound was a series of clicks and whistles that the ship's computer translated. Unknown. Vessels, you have entered Krev territory. This world has been claimed for harvest. Depart immediately or be destroyed. Olivia stood straight and faced the alien. I am Captain Olivia Martinez of the United Earth Alliance vessel Retribution. We received a distress call from the Navari people and have come to assist them. It is you who will withdraw from this system. Krev seemed surprised by this response. It tilted its head in what might have been confusion. The Navari are our rightful harvest. We have claimed many worlds. Your species is unknown to us. Are you allied with the Navari? We are now, Olivia replied coldly. And you should know that humans protect their allies. Before the Krev could respond, Olivia gave the order. Fire. The Retribution's main cannon fired a concentrated energy beam that cut through the first Krev ship like it was made of paper. The second ship barely had time to react before it too was destroyed by a barrage of missiles. Signal the fleet, Olivia commanded. Begin the attack. Across the system, human warships moved with deadly precision. Fighter craft launched from carrier vessels heading toward Krev positions. The surprise attack caught many Krev ships unprepared, and the initial casualties were high on the alien side. But the Krev recovered quickly. Their ships began to gather, forming defensive clusters. Their organic vessels moved with unexpected agility, making them difficult targets despite their size. In orbit around the Navari homeworld, Battle Group 3 fought to break through the Krev blockade. The human ships took damage, but their advanced shielding systems held against the alien weapons. We've established contact with the Navari stronghold, Lisa reported excitedly. They're sending a transmission. The view screen changed to show a Navari. The alien was humanoid, but with blue-tinted skin and large almond-shaped eyes. Its head was hairless, and it wore what appeared to be some kind of armor. I am Scholar Commander Eltax of the Navari Defense Force, the alien said in a surprisingly melodic voice. We thank you for answering our distress call. We had almost lost hope. This is Captain Martinez of the human vessel Retribution. We're here to help, Scholar Commander. We're sending ships to establish a defensive perimeter around your position. Eltax's large eyes blinked rapidly. Humans. We have never encountered your species before. Your ships, they are unlike anything we have seen. We've had some experience preparing for threats like the Krev, Olivia replied. Can you send us information about their weaknesses? Anything that might help us fight them more effectively? Yes, sending data now, Eltax responded. Their ships are partially organic. They rely on a central nervous system that connects to a command node. If you can target these nodes, their ships become disoriented. This information was quickly distributed throughout the human fleet. Tactical officers adjusted their targeting patterns, focusing on the newly identified weak points of the Krev vessels. The space around the Navari homeworld had become a massive battlefield. Energy beams, missiles, and strange organic projectiles from the Krev ships crisscrossed the blackness. Explosions flashed like small suns as ships on both sides were hit. Despite being outnumbered, the human fleet was inflicting heavy damage on the Krev. Their ships were faster, their weapons more powerful, and their tactics more refined. Centuries of preparing for this very enemy had given humanity an edge that the Krev had not anticipated. On the command ship of the Krev fleet, the dominant leader watched with growing alarm as more of its vessels were destroyed. It had never encountered such resistance before. Most species they harvested had barely achieved spaceflight, let alone developed weapons that could challenge the Dominion. The dominant leader sent a message to all Krev vessels. Focus all attacks on the largest human ship. It appears to be their command vessel. In response, dozens of Krev ships broke from their formations and converged on the Retribution. "Captain, we have multiple Krev vessels on an intercept course," warned the tactical officer. "They're targeting us specifically," Olivia nodded. "They've figured out we're coordinating the attack. Divert power to forward shields and prepare for heavy assault. Signal battle groups 1 and 2 to continue their attack patterns. We'll draw their attention while they hit the Krev from behind." As the Krev ships closed in, the Retribution's weapons fired continuously, destroying several of the approaching vessels. But there were too many. The ship shuddered as Krev weapons struck their shields. "Shields at 70% and dropping," reported the engineering officer. "We can't take this level of fire for long." Olivia gripped the command chair as another hit rocked the ship. "Hold position. Help is coming." Sure enough, human vessels from Battle Group 1 swung around and hit the attacking Krev ships from behind. Caught between the Retribution's formidable weapons and the flanking attack, the Krev suffered heavy losses. The Battle of Navari Prime raged on, with neither side willing to retreat. For the first time in their long history of conquest, the Krev Dominion faced an enemy that not only could fight back, but seemed specifically designed to defeat them.